This is a special report on Smarter News, where the only headlines we're going to be talking about are the headlines related to our company and what we're doing, why we're doing it, where we're going. And I can't wait to share some of this story with you because you are the reason why Smarter News even exists. And I'll never lose sight of that. That's my promise to you. One of the most interesting things I think about the media industry overall, when it comes to journalism, there's a lot of journalists that are asking questions all the time about the directions of companies and what people want and how they feel, what they're thinking. And yet journalism lacks actually talking to our own audience about how we can serve you better. News is a service. It's a customer service. And that's what I really want to make sure Smarter News is always committed to. It's the foundation of Smarter News. Quick, concise, nonpartisan information, a service that can actually help enrich your life, not be a distraction to it. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. When I started Smarter News a couple of years ago, the first thing that people, as I was just kind of letting my inner circle of friends, like, I'm thinking about this. What do you think about this? There was all sorts of advice. And some of the advice was, you got to get a board of advisors, real prominent people that have started companies before. Get them, get their names, get their knowledge, get them on board. It's going to be great. You should get some investors. You could raise a couple $1 million, get Smarter News going. And all of that sounded really exciting, but I was worried about a couple things. One is that when you bring more people in, you actually have to talk to them. You actually have to talk to investors. You actually have to talk to a board of advisors. And although I thought that could be really great for the company, I actually just wanted to talk to you. I wanted to make sure that we were serving you in the best way possible. And one way that I could prove our dedication to nonpartisanship is to bootstrap this company myself. Because the more voices or people we got involved, it could be easy to think, well, maybe there is a little bit of a bias because look who's on the board or look who they got money from. And I wanted you to know that I was putting myself on the line because I really believe in nonpartisan news and I really believe that the news can work for you. It shouldn't be an industry that everybody hates. And it is an industry where there's a lot of valid criticism. There's also a lot of great work being done that we want to make sure that we highlight and we support and we help grow. And so Smarter News wants to be a part of that kind of creative disruption in this news business. So I thought to myself at that time, okay, maybe someday I'll have a board of advisors or some investors, but once a year, I'm going to do something different than other media companies. I'm actually going to hold a town hall, a board meeting with our audience because they're the voice that I actually want to hear most. And if we continue to serve you well, then the rest of it will come. And so that's what today is really about. I don't view the news industry as if you're a bunch of consumers. People talk about news consumption. That's a real passive activity, right? Like you're sitting back and you're just consuming the avalanche of news that's coming at you. It's a bad picture. No one wants to be that person on the couch just kind of overwhelmed by the news flooding over you. You're an active participant in the news. This is your story. We're sharing this particular time in history. You're not a consumer. You're a participant. You're an active participant. Even if you're just listening to something that's far away, it's still happening in the same news cycle and life cycle that we share. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I want to talk to you what we would do in a typical board of advisors is we talk about growth. We're going to talk about challenges. We're going to talk about new projects. And I want to hear from you on all of these different topics. So I'll take one by one. We'll work through it. Love to hear some of what your thoughts are, and we'll go from there. So let's talk a little bit about growth. It's been such an exciting time for Smarter News. We're going to be celebrating 5 years next year. Wow. And we had a lot of unexpected events during that time, including a global pandemic, that I wasn't imagining when I started Smarter News that would be something that we're covering. We've really seen growth across every single platform, from Instagram to YouTube to podcasting. Twitter, Facebook, all of it has just exploded. And one of the ways that it grows is through not only hard work and dedication, but also a news cycle that continues to be what it has been, which is a lot of different stories and a lot of different variety of stories to work through. That growth is amazing to see some of the top line numbers. And it's great to see your audience grow and you see a number and you think, okay, that's great news. We're growing. But what is really also important to me is it's not just our top numbers, but our engagement. So whatever you see as far as followership, let's say on Instagram, our actual engagement and reach is 2 to 3 to 4 times that. There's been times that our audience on Smarter News has been bigger than the audience that I had on my cable news show when I was a national news anchor. So that gives you some perspective as to the reach and the power of Smarter News. The audience is all over the place, all over the United States, all different ages, 25 to 65 mainly, in that age range. The people that follow us are mainly women, but there's a lot of men too. Men don't necessarily follow us as much, but they engage just as much, which is sort of an interesting, fun tidbit. Just wanted to share. We obviously like everybody, and we want to make sure everybody finds a home here because we're not producing news for women. We're just producing quick, concise, nonpartisan information. And the way that I started this project was thinking about, what does a busy American woman need who's multitasking at a really high level? If I can reach her, I'm going to reach men because we consume differently. This is my theory. This is my philosophy. And so far, that has actually proven true. So as far as the challenges, though, we've had many challenges. The big overarching theme, and this is what I've heard from you mostly, is the biggest challenge we have is social media. The very thing that has brought us all together, has made Smarter News possible, is the very thing that has created the most challenges for us. And you have talked about this consistently for the last year. It's really been heightened, I would say, over the last 6 months, but really over the last year, just how difficult you're finding accessing our information on social media, or your own thoughts about social media have changed. In this time period where I started Smarter News, 2018, imagine that. It was a different time. Instagram was different. Twitter was a little bit different. Everything has changed and evolved. So the user experience, the one thing that's been, I'm just going to bullet point a couple of these things as far as challenging experiences. The number one thing has been user experience. You can't find us. We're not popping up in your feed. When you're looking at our content, this is mainly on Instagram. If you're looking at our content, sometimes you can't interact with it. You can't comment sometimes, or you're not able to share it. It just feels that it's difficult when it wasn't always that way. And on our end, the user experience is also just as difficult. I used to love doing our regular lives with you every single day. I would do, let's say, a 6-minute report, what you need to know over a cup of coffee. We called them our coffee talks. I love this. But it became increasingly difficult. The technology wouldn't work. Our audio would be distorted. Our video would be distorted. Loading a 6-minute video could take 3 hours to actually post. And this was happening constantly. And it was a big issue for us because sometimes you would think that we actually hadn't done any work when we had, and we couldn't actually post it. So the user experience has been problematic. And as a business owner, that's a big red flag for me, because I want you to be able to easily get our information. Not for it to be a struggle, and not for us to be hidden and not know how to kind of get back in front of you. So that's one of the issues that we've had with social media. The second issue that we've had definitely on our end has been censorship. And I can't believe we're actually talking about that, because naively, I always thought, well, I'm doing nonpartisan news. I'm showing both sides. Yeah, it's a difficult topic, but it's totally fine. I never thought that I would have content removed or flagged or threats of my account being taken down. That's all happened on social media. And oftentimes, I don't know if I trip an algorithm. I don't know how there's no rhyme or reason sometimes for it, but there's really no way for me to talk to anybody. And yes, we can challenge the content, and normally we do, and it normally just goes back up, but we may miss the news moment, and we may not be there for you during a really important time. And it's starting to affect what I actually put on social media, some stuff we actually hold back for our website. And I don't want to think about that. We live in a free country where I shouldn't be worried about being censored if I say something wrong on a certain topic, or it sounds wrong, because I'm actually here dedicated to showing multiple sides of any given story. So that's been a major issue for us. And then finally, unexpected vulnerabilities. This is something I actually haven't talked to you a lot about, but I'm going to share it with you today. We dealt with something over the last year that I could have never imagined. Basically, Smarter News on social media, our whole entire platform, our website came under attack. I didn't talk to you about this. You have enough going on in the news, let alone problems with Smarter News. I didn't want to involve you in this, but it was extremely upsetting. Basically, someone made a claim against Smarter News that was not true. But the way that it works is they didn't come to us. They went to all the social media companies and our website hosting platform and made this complaint. And when someone does that, it's almost like a drive-by crime. the social media companies are like, we don't want to, I don't know what to say about that. So Smarter News, we may take you down. We may actually take down your entire platform unless you figure this out. Needless to say, it took us 8 months to the end of June and tens of thousands of dollars of legal fees to figure out. And it was just something I could have never imagined as a business owner going through. And I don't want anyone else to experience that. Maybe someday we could talk about it in more detail. Some of it's actually a matter of public record. But for now, it just showed me how vulnerable the company has become if we're depending on social media to connect all the time. And the flip side to all of this is I love social media. Instagram has worked great. I love being on Instagram with you or on Twitter, on Facebook. That's how we're able to hang out together. So I want to be balanced about this, just like any of our coverage. These are our major issues. These are the facts of what we're dealing with as a company. But there's also been these, Smarter News would not, how would I reach you if it hasn't been through social media? So there's also amazing parts of it that allow us to connect in ways I would have never imagined, like broadcasting live from Kabul, Afghanistan, for example. Never thought that would be possible, was possible through Instagram. So I was left with this in the summer, feeling that we're going to have to try something new with Smarter News and really listening to you. I mean, I'm able to really interact with you on direct messages a lot on social media. I read a lot of your comments there, more so than I read comments actually that are public comments on any of our content, which is how I know you're such a diverse audience with a lot of different ideas, a lot of different passions. And I just love you. I think you're great. You're really miraculous and cool. There's so many people that said a nonpartisan community, a community of people connecting over nonpartisan news would never exist. I mean, that's the number one thing people told me when I told them the idea of Smarter News. And I knew because I had listened to the people that talked to me when I was on traditional media talk about their complaints about the news. And if you just listen to what people say about it, you know that there has to be another solution. So this summer, as we were traveling as a family, I was really deep in thought. I'd just come out of this very traumatic experience as a business owner where I actually thought I was going to lose the entire business. And it was extremely upsetting to me because integrity is our only license to practice as journalists. So this complaint was just, it wasn't true, so and there was nothing I can do except hire some lawyers and try to figure it out. And I did a couple things this summer. I took some time away, really tried to think strategically about how I can best serve you better. And I was doing a couple different things. I read 2 different books. Have you read Atomic Habits? Have you read that book? Atomic Habits is a book I read. It's been out for a couple of years. It's all about the small things that you do, small habits in your life that can create big change. So that had me reflecting on some of the habits that I had personally and also professionally. I also read this book called Dopamine Nation. This is another big title basically it's about addiction. I thought it was about social media addiction, just words of the wise. It's actually the content's a lot more serious than that. I didn't expect that when I opened it up. But the reason why it's kind of talking about addiction across a broad spectrum is it's helping you make the connection that maybe you don't have a quote unquote serious addiction, but you have addictive things that you're doing in your life. For me, checking Instagram is one of those habits and maybe even an addiction sometimes. It's what I like to do to look at the news or connect with other people. And yeah, there's a purpose behind it, but I was also thinking about how often I do it and sometimes not necessarily for the best reasons or most productive reasons. So I had those kind of 2 influences in my mind. And I was thinking to myself, okay, what can we do? I know people really like a little bit more. So yes, we're about quick, concise, nonpartisan information. But what can I create for Smarter News that is more secure, more stable, more reliable, maybe even more healthy, healthier, better for you, that could help serve you in addition to what we're already doing? What we're doing is actually working in a lot of ways. A lot of you talk about how Smarter News has changed your life. But what can I do extra that can actually create maybe a little bit more of a stable, reliable, better environment to deliver news, and do it with a technology that might actually even look better than Instagram? Because that's one of the issues I have delivering our reports. I want to show you more. The other questions that we've had when it comes to our delivery has also been about how we choose different stories. What does that look like? How do we make editorial decisions? And I love talking to you about how we make editorial decisions and also how to watch the editorial decisions that are being made by other media outlets. This is something I can speak to. So here's what we've developed. Yes, Smarter News is about quick, concise, nonpartisan information, but we've developed something extra for you, and it's called Scoop, as in get the scoop, first scoop, we got the scoop, That's a term that we use. It used to be old school when it came to actually getting a real scoop. These days, there's not so much an exclusive scoop, but we can give you a scoop of information that gets you ready and going. So we've decided to launch an insider community called Scoop. And in this insider community, you get a couple different things. You are going to get a report at the beginning of your week. It's a special report. So this is not only just talking to you about what stories you need to know for the week ahead, but also the way that we're going to approach it. It's almost like you're being invited to our editorial meeting. Not only what are we looking at, but how are we going to think about this as we're delivering the news? And how should we watch others deliver the news? What language should we watch? What is the timing? The different things that we actually do discuss in our editorial meetings. You're actually going to be able to see it. We have a brand new technology that we're going to use for this. It's going to look awesome. We've been testing it for the last couple of weeks and it looks great. So this report is not going to live on social media. It's actually going to get delivered to your inbox and you're going to be able to watch it or listen to it. You're also going to be able to interact. So if you have a comment, if you would like us to look into something, it's almost like you're not only invited to our editorial meeting, but you're an extended member of it. You get to be a contributor to it. So what else would you like us to look at? What questions would you like us to explore? And this way we're going to be able to interact with you. As part of the insider community too, you are going to get a couple perks. And that includes you're going to get first looks to our new partnerships, which we have, and also some new products. In fact, I was going to grab one of our new products is going to be launched on Monday, which is the first day of Scoop. And if you're a member of Scoop, you get to order it first. You get a special discount always as part of the insider community. And it's just another way that we get to have fun with you and show you some new things. We're also going to be sharing some smarter tips. So those are tips from you. Let's say you stumble upon something that's really interesting, or you have something that you think the broader community should know. You get to actually be a part of this report and also part of this community. So we're really excited about this. I think it's going to be a great way to offer a complement to what we're already doing on Smarter News, but also a bridge. So listen to this. We have a free weekend digest. This is our fun conversation starters. We put all of our content from social media into our weekend digest that comes out on Saturday morning. And it's just supposed to be something fun, like when you sit down on a Saturday and you just want something fun to read, but you also would like to catch up on a couple things. This is what that does for you. It's why we call it a digest. It's our weekly digest of news with a dash of fun, because we also include some fun articles that are just sort of interesting conversation pieces. But if you're receiving that and you also are part of Scoop, you're going to get this report about midday Monday. It's not going to be first thing. A lot of news agencies rushed for Monday morning. And let me tell you something. I've spent the last 90 days listening and watching what everyone does in the morning. They're either being very repetitive in their morning reports, or especially on a Monday, it's like the news hasn't settled yet. There's a lot of announcements that come out Monday morning. There's a lot of things that happen. So I want to let that settle. And then our report will be delivered around midday. My goal is to get it to you midday for a late lunch, carpool, commute home, something you can listen to or watch while you're making dinner, something while you're folding laundry. It's something that, again, a scoop of news that makes you feel prepared for the week. So let's say you don't want to be on social media at all. Let's say you want to take a break. Cool. You're going to get this report on Monday. And it's providing a bridge to our Saturday report. On Saturday, you see everything in between. What's going to also be important about this community is, just like we're doing right now with the board of advisors that you are now participating in, is that I want to hear what you want. Scoop is going to become what you want. You're going to be able to help us direct not only our coverage about what stories you're most interested in, but also what more you would like to see. Do you want to do coffee talks on a more regular basis? I think with this program, this technology we're using, we can. Would you like to join these live events? Would you like live events? What else would you like? And this is going to give us a pathway of being more free to explore these things and more creative. Ultimately, why does the news matter? The news matters because we want to be informed about the stories that are making up our lives. But we don't want the news to be so much a part of our life that it's distracting us from living our own story. And the 24-hour news cycle, which I have been a part of and sometimes still have to pull myself back from, is both fascinating, but also can make us lose the bigger picture of what we're actually experiencing. There's a lot of updates that matter. There's a lot of updates that actually don't matter that much. And so what I want to be a part of pioneering is bringing us back to healthy news consumption that actually supports you in your life, where you feel informed and current, and also not attached to the news every second of every day. And I think I may be the only media executive, humble beginnings, as you will see around my office, that will say that out loud. Because what the whole business of news is based on is more clutter, more content, more firewalls, more. But that's not necessarily good for everybody. It's not actually the most productive, in my opinion. So the insider community, by the way, oh, hold on, stand by. I've always been worried about an insider community because I'm like, oh gosh, I want to make sure everything is just available for you at any time. So it took me a little while to get here, but I did buy my cup of coffee this morning, and I do tip. As any good journalist, I have been a waitress many times over. And joining the insider community means that you're a contributor to building a solution in news. It is less than a cup of coffee, less than a latte. That's how we describe it. Less than a latte, $4.99 a month. And you get to be part of the community. And we'll start there and we'll see what happens. I'm really excited about this. And you can check out just what I just talked about if you go to scoop.smarternews.com. It's also linked in our bio on Instagram. We'll put it there as well across the different social media platforms. And you can check it out. The first report is Monday. You can totally preview it with no charge. You're just going to be able to see it and see what we're doing. And I encourage you to do that and give us feedback. And so, yeah, the very first report is Monday. Our very first brand new discount for Smarter News followers, for Scoop followers, is going to be on Monday as well. And so I'm really excited to create something extra for you. And I hope that you really love it. And we'll just go from there. We're going to continue to evolve. I want to continue to change with you and try to serve you best wherever you are. So that's where we're at for today. A new special report, a new first look, a new meeting place for those of you who really just want a little something more with Smarter News. So thank you so much for your support and for being such an incredible inspiration for so many years. I honestly don't think I could have kept going without your messages coming through at just the right time. There's no way. It's 100% being fueled by the inspiration we get from you. And so we're so grateful for you. And thank you so much for being there for us and creating the solution in news. I am happy to take any questions from you at this point. We're doing this first report is live. Jen is asking, can your international followers be part of Scoop 2? Absolutely. 100%. You could be anywhere in the world and you're going to be able to not only join Scoop, but eventually, if you're interested, the broadcast, the special report that I will be doing every Monday, you can join live from anywhere. And it's pretty cool. I would actually love for you guys to interact on that. If you, I see some of you are already suggesting some live chats after big events. That could be something that we can absolutely do through Scoop in a way that is actually protected and stable. So let's say there's the midterm elections and maybe we want to do something early that next morning and talk about what we've learned, or maybe the next day. 100% special reports. And so some of you might say, well, hey, what happens if something happens on like Tuesday or Wednesday, but you already did the report on Monday? What happens? Well, if there's a big news event, we're going to make sure the Scoop audience gets a little something extra with that as well. I think that's really important. So thank you so much for all of your input. Please continue to weigh in. Let me know what you think. When you check out Scoop, let me know there. You could always email us, hello@smarternews.com. And we look forward to hearing from you. So get the Scoop. Get it? Yeah, I know. I'm excited. I only think about ice cream, but I think there's something there. Ice cream and news. That's not a bad association compared to the other associations that are linked to journalism today in America. Okay. So we'll take that. We'll take that. I'll never forget. It was just a quick story. There was a woman that was being interviewed about aging. And she said that she had heard a Hollywood, you might have heard me talk about this before, a Hollywood celebrity talk about their favorite snack and that their favorite snack was water. I think hydration is important. But her favorite snack, the woman that was elderly, was ice cream. And she said, you know what? I've always had strong bones, no osteoporosis, and I don't think I could necessarily get that through water. So if you just need a little extra encouragement for a scoop of ice cream, there you have it for today. All right, guys, thank you so much. I have one more additional question that I'm going to ask you on social media because it actually has to do with social media. So look out for that in our captions below. And thank you again for everything. I'm so grateful for you. Have a great day, and I'll see you with more on Scoop.